Part 57. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 564. Under Darkness. The consciousness ghost saw that the figure seemed to be showing him a charming smile. He shivered. But then I thought about it, this is so normal. Normal evil ghosts are like this. Even in a life or death crisis, they can't control the resentment that keeps coming out. These resentments will continue to stimulate the consciousness of the main body, causing them to have the emotion of destroying everything and complaining about heaven and earth. Because of this, the evil spirit became a street rat. It is basically impossible to live peacefully with normal ghosts. Normally, he would never allow other evil spirits to enter his territory, but now is a special situation. With one more evil ghost, they can have more hope of saving themselves. Then, the consciousness ghost shouted again, "Are you scared out of your wits? Come here quickly, if you attract that demon, I will not save you again." The other side. Looking at one of the houses, Shen Jian's eyes became strange. A cold voice sounded in his mind. His eyes swept away. In front of the second-floor window of a house, a sneaky figure was waving at him through a crack. It could be seen that the other person was nervous and his eyes were looking around, as if he was afraid of something. Think about it. Shen Jian strode over. He pushed the door open and locked it. The weird smile on his face couldn't be concealed. Come to the second floor. There was no light in the room, and the surrounding area seemed extremely dark. Only a little bit of moonlight refracted through the curtains could barely make out the overall outline. Seeing Shen Jian, the conscious ghost lowered his voice and said, "Are you crazy just now? You have already escaped from that demon, why are you still staying on the street? Are you afraid that others can't find you?" Shen Jian did not respond. Somewhat curious, he walked over. Asked, "What are you looking at?" "Look to see if there is anyone left alone like you. You may not know yet, but I have just sent out consciousness links to the remaining survivors. We are planning to save ourselves and save one more evil ghost. One more strength to fight against that devil." The consciousness ghost secretly stared outside the street and explained. "Oh? So you can gather all the remaining evil spirits. Hear this." Shen Jian's eyes showed a bit of light. "Of course, although my level of terror is not high, I possess a rare psychic ability in consciousness. As long as I have contact with them, I can pull the other person's consciousness into a space and communicate normally even though they are thousands of miles apart." The consciousness ghost said confidently, and then thought of something. Asked, "You just escaped from that devil, right? How much do you know about that devil? Then how much do you know?" Shen Jian's tone was faint. At this time, the consciousness ghost also seemed to have discovered something was wrong. He turned around suddenly and met Shen Jian's eyes. In the dark, there was a touch of penetrating green in the other person's eyes, and he looked straight at him, like a ferocious beast staring at its prey. Conscious ghost. His face suddenly stiffened, and he felt horrified inside. An ominous premonition flashed in his eyes. It suddenly occurred to him that besides evil spirits, the people still walking on the street at this time might also be demons. Think of this. His consciousness shivered. Damn it! I shouldn't be so unlucky. This guy might always have this expression. He comforted himself in his heart, and his legs couldn't help but tremble. I heard that evil foreigner is wrapped with golden thunder and lightning. His features are very obvious, and there seems to be something red floating on his wrist. Anyone who encounters such features should evacuate as soon as possible and tell us position, we try to avoid each other." The consciousness ghost explained carefully, while not forgetting to look at Shen Jian up and down. At this time, he suddenly noticed that something seemed to be tied around his neck. He reached out and touched it. It looked like a red hanging rope, stained with blood, and extended all the way to the top of the head. He looked up and saw a blood-stained hemp rope floating out of thin air and wrapping it around his neck. The other end of the hemp rope was connected to Shen Jian's wrist. This moment, the consciousness is confused. My scalp is numb. Red, fluttering things. He trembled and said, "Brother, what do you mean by trying to hold my neck? You are joking with me, right? But I'm not feeling well right now, so I probably won't be able to play such an exciting game." Shen Jian seemed to have been prepared. "That's it, I hanged myself. I can't control the supernatural. If there are many people together, I can't help but hang someone randomly for fun." Consciousness ghost. God hangs someone randomly for fun. No, brother. He wanted to cry but had no tears. "Brother, we can't fight among ourselves now, otherwise when that foreigner comes over, we won't be able to compete." Shen Jian was non-committal. "You just said, what are the characteristics of that devil?" "Golden thunder." The words fell. Shen Jian raised his hand. Golden thunder wrapped around the palm of his hand, lighting up the room. In an instant, the consciousness ghost saw it. He saw the corners of Shen Jian's mouth split open, revealing a sinister smile. "Is that so?" The consciousness ghost was completely frightened. His pupils grew bigger and bigger, and for the first time in his life, he felt the fear of being dominated. It was an unspeakable, unimaginable, and indescribable horror. The fear is far greater than encountering the top ghost king or encountering ghosts and gods. He finally understood. The evil ghosts he invited in were no longer alone, but they were clearly looking for targets everywhere. And he, welcoming the devil in person. This moment, the atmosphere was extremely cold. The conscious ghost's heart was ashen, his hands and feet were weak, and he had completely lost hope of resistance. However, the next second, Shen Jian withdrew the golden thunder, loosened the hemp rope around his neck, and said with a smile, "You are so timid, you can't survive in the evil ghost team. I am a kind-hearted person, and I don't want to see you being bullied in the future. In this way, you gather all the evil spirits in the town and I kill them all, so no one can bully you." Conscious ghost? He was in a daze. Is this what the hell is called Xian Shan? Because you don't like me being bullied, so you plan to kill everyone so that no one will dare to bully me? Grass. What self-deception! Your brain circuit is so ridiculous. Am I an evil spirit? Or are you an evil spirit? Why do I feel that you are more cruel than me? What? You don't want to? Seeing that the consciousness ghost didn't speak, Shen Jian smiled kindly again. The big hand of the cattail leaf fan has already touched the opponent's head. It seems that he will perform what Kai Tianling means in the next second. At this time, the consciousness ghost also reacted. "You want me to betray my own kind?" His tone was solemn, staring straight at Shen Jian. Then, he smiled and said, "If I betray a few more, can you not kill me? Then you have to be able to betray a few." Shen Jian smiled with satisfaction. "No problem, brother, leave it to me. I promise to call all the 80-year-old grandmothers here. If they don't come, I will openly spray shit in her mind and scold her until she comes." Very good. Not long after, all the evil spirits in the town gathered here. Because the conscious ghost openly shouted that he had found a way to survive. Although they haven't determined whether the news is true or false, they have no other choice but to come here. After all, the fear brought by Shen Jian was greater than anything else. If they can't find a way, they will all die. It's better to listen to the consciousness ghost's ideas and give it a try. Are there just that many people? At this time, not far away, Shen Jian came over. A quick glance. There were about 20 evil spirits gathered around. Including the 33 he had already dealt with before, there are only about 50 households in the entire town? Or are the other Aborigines no longer here? Yes, I can confirm that these are all the residents of the town. The consciousness ghost followed behind, smiling shyly. Ghosts. They were a little startled. His brows furrowed. After seeing Shen Jian's appearance and characteristics clearly, the expressions of all the evil spirits changed drastically. My uncle, you actually betrayed us. Damn it, you bitch and traitor, we didn't waste our trust in you so much. You actually want to be honored by the buyer, can you add me? So, your so-called method is actually fake? Just to trick us into coming here. The ghosts were furious. Each one looked at the consciousness ghost angrily. At the same time, seeing Shen Jian approaching step by step, they were extremely frightened. Previously, more than 30 evil ghosts, all abyss level and 5 top ghost kings, were all defeated head-on. Now, how could they, a group of abyss level ghost kings, be Shen Jian's opponents? Their fate was already doomed when they were tricked into coming here. The conscious ghost straightened his back. I'm right, I did find a way to survive, and it's not you. Ghosts? They were furious. Grass. This bitch. They are all of the same kind, yet they actually play scheming and word games with them. Really awesome dog comparison. You really deserve to die. At this time, an evil ghost looked at the consciousness ghost with splitting eyes, and rushed forward, trying to tear this piece of shit apart. Next moment, thunder exploded. A charred corpse fell. Shen Jian's voice also sounded simultaneously, it depends on the owner to beat a dog. That is. The consciousness ghost is arrogant and self-conceited, and its villainous attitude makes the group of ghosts hated, but there is nothing they can do about it. Escape. Without any choice. They could only shout loudly and run away. GGG, it's too late. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 565. At this time, the town was filled with fog and the sky was dark. A voice remembered at the right time, Master, we have collected them all. A total of 24 evil ghosts have been stuffed into sacks by me. The conscious ghost dragged a sack and came to Shen Jian to ask for credit. If it were said that he had chosen to help others because he was threatened before. Now he is a devout member of the Redeemer Church. Anyone who dares to say a bad word about Shen Jian should not blame him for biting someone on the spot. He has very strong teeth despite nothing else. Shen Jian was very satisfied. Smiles spread. I just feel relaxed. It has been nearly 2 weeks since I came to this deep ghost realm, and I have finally collected the 50 evil ghosts who have unlocked the Hell realm, and there are nearly 30 more. If these extra evil ghosts do not meet the subsequent unlocking conditions of the Beast Path and Hungry Ghost Path, they will be added to the Yinke team. No matter how bad it is, you can throw it into the unlocked Hell realm and experience the reincarnation ability of one of the 6 realms of reincarnation. This is the most important symbol of the underworld. Even if only one of the 3 evil realms is unlocked, it is of great significance to the underworld today. Thinking. Shen Jian has returned to Shadowless Ghost's residence. The consciousness ghost took the lead and immediately set up a trap. Born with double eyes, brother, you can tell at a glance that he is someone who will do great things. Please take good care of me in the future. Hey, isn't this Wu Ying's little brother? You have better judgment than me, and you actually switched to the Redemption Society so quickly. Although I am a little older than you, but according to the time I joined the church, I still have to call you big brother. The consciousness is flattering. Ghost with double eyes. Shadowless ghost. Ah, this. Seeing that the consciousness ghost, who had taken over the body of the Aboriginal people long before him, had the strength that was infinitely close to the top ghost king, and had a decisive position in the town, was confronting him. Wooing Ghost was confused. What redemption meeting? Does it refer to the organization established by the fellow countrymen who deceived him? The Redemption Society, as soon as you hear it, you will know that it is doing great things. An evil ghost like him needs to redeem others, and this organization can just wash away his sins. And the big brother, the conscious ghost, seems to have no idea that he has not joined the Redemption Society at all. Think of this. Shadowless Ghost straightened his back a little. He took on the big brother attitude. At the same time, he did not forget to think that he would secretly talk to this fellow villager about joining the Redemption Society later. Take away all the evil spirits. At this time, Shen Jian finally thought of finding a scapegoat to improve his reputation. How much do you know about Earl Diamond? Hear this. The consciousness ghost's eyes lit up. He is good at finding information. His supernatural powers were designed to do this kind of thing. The evil spirits in the town are all products of resentment. Even when dealing with their own kind, their attitude is to kill them all. Because of this, his supernatural powers come in handy. He can let everyone in the entire town complete the exchange of information without contact. As the source, he is aware of any information. Master, I generally know something about it. The consciousness ghost considered the meaning and said, according to the information I have, Earl Diamond is a member of the Saint of Elim Temple. On the surface, the two seem to have no connection, but in fact, they are secretly communicating with each other. They have created everything in this town and are secretly cultivating evil spirits here. We, the people, are the result of the experiment. After officially taking over the bodies of the indigenous people, Earl Diamond will send us to sneak into other territories, commit murders, and corrode the residents in the territory, making them infected with resentment and creating a world corrupted by resentment. Markov. When the time comes, the saint will come here in person, bring down the holy light, and purify all those who have been corrupted by resentment. But in fact, it is us who secretly take back the resentment, so that the people can praise the saint and regard her as brilliance. The incarnation of ghosts and gods. After that, after a period of time, we will be sent to secretly create accidental death situations so that nothing can be investigated. After listening, Shen Jian was stunned. Isn't this routine, a replica of the Redemption Society? Wrong. It was the saint who used the same method as him to improve her status among the people. Think of this. Shen Jian's eyes became strange. Ask the most crucial information, which saint is it? Blair Saint. Shen Jian. Su Shi saw that Shen Jian was somewhat silent, and the consciousness ghost added another sentence, it's the old saint. Shen Jian asked curiously, are you familiar with the situation in the holy city? It's not too familiar. After all, we can only stay here for a long time. It was only in the past year that we were allowed to leave the town and perform various tasks. I guess that Saint Blair saw that there was a new saint in the temple, or she was brought back by the glorious ghost and God herself. She was a legitimate and true saint, so she felt a sense of crisis, and then she mobilized us, eager to let her go. His position has been stabilized. Hear this. Shen Jian was thoughtful. He learned about the true and false saints from Lucy. But combined with the consciousness ghost, this is basically impossible to fake. Earl Diamond, or Lady Blair, stole the supernatural powers of the monastery, secretly created evil ghost personalities in batches, used them as secret weapons, and then enhanced his reputation by creating unjust and wrongful convictions. On the same path as the Redemption Church. This ideological consciousness is quite high. To know. This is a deep ghost land with a medieval setting. A saint from the temple dared to risk being hanged, step by step, turning the town into a paradise for evil spirits, and then used it to repay her own reputation and status. and the benefits of doing so are also very obvious. In the temple where the glorious ghost brought back the true saint, the power that has always stood by the old saint has not wavered much. This is the importance of reputation. How could a person who had an unknown origin and became a saint halfway through be compared with the Blair saint who was famous for helping those in need? Thinking. Shen Jian said casually, "What is the origin of the new saint?" "His main mission is to join the temple and become a priest. However, the old saint's position is too stable and cannot join the team. Only the new saint is around. Because of the lack of foundation, it is easy to sneak in." "I don't know. According to the information I have, I only know that her name is Saint Leia. It is said that when she was brought back by the glorious ghost, Saint Leia was wearing a nun's robe. She should be a nun in a monastery somewhere." Shen Jian? Hearing this name, he was slightly startled. "Sister Leia?" Shen Jian's eyes moved slightly. Could it be the ghost nun he met in the underworld ward dungeon? He still remembered that this nun had two souls, one named Leia and the other Lila. The former is the younger sister and the latter is the older sister. A ghost heart has the ability to suppress the supernatural powers of any ghosts below the Ghost King level. The number one drug produced by Huangquan Hospital is based on the study of the ghost heart of nuns. Based on the deadline more than half a year ago, he guessed that this might really be a ghost nun. Think of this. Shen Jian's eyes were strange. The nun ghost is the only target he has no strategy for. Until leaving the dungeon, the favorability level was only over 70 points. Although he was bitten once, it has always been his regret that he did not execute this nun who coexisted with saintliness and temptation on the spot. Did not expect. After such a long time, the other party actually appeared in Olympus. She also became the new saint of Elim Temple. Thoughts are spinning. Shen Jian withdrew his gaze. Where is Earl Diamond now? Hear this. The consciousness ghost was silent for a moment. He said in a hesitant tone, "I think, the Earl may be arriving soon." Seemingly knowing that such words would delay the suspicion of collaborating with the enemy, he explained again, "Master, do you know how many people there used to be in our small town?" Shen Jian shook his head. Chel's territory spans 100,000 square kilometers. Our small town alone has a population of more than 300 households, with a total population of more than 1,000 people. But now, apart from us, there are only 100 or so evil ghosts left. The others have been sent to the Earl's castle. Every time we carry out a mission, there will be an eyeball next to us. I suspect that it is the eye of the disappeared Aboriginal people in the town. They have all turned into supernatural creatures to monitor our movements. The only thing we can do is wait for us. These eyes won't leave until you return to town. But according to my observation, there are still many eyes around the town secretly monitoring it. Everything that happens here is most likely already known." The words fell. Suddenly, the fog was dispersed. The gloomy sky was revealed. An eerie voice sounded out of thin air. "No matter who you are, you should be damned if you dare to peek into the secrets here." The heavy fog that had been lingering for a long time completely disappeared the moment the sound sounded. In heavy fog, eyes that had fallen into deep sleep suddenly opened one after another. These eyes range from big to small, some are blood red, some are white, and some are pitch black, completely integrated with the night. The only thing they have in common is that these eyes are all alive. Every eyeball is blinking, revealing the dead silence, darkness, and penetrating gaze. And there are thousands of such eyes. They are densely packed throughout the town. Like a skynet, everything here is covered. Such a scene is really too terrifying. No one thought that there would be such a scene over the foggy town. Have they always lived under such scrutiny? The consciousness ghost, the shadowless ghost, and even the double-eyed ghost all had their scalps numb and their whole bodies trembling as they stared blankly at all this. Suddenly, An unimaginably terrifying supernatural wave suddenly descended. Two arms stretched out from one of the eyeballs, grabbed both sides of the eyeball, and violently tore it apart. Eyeballs exploded. In the rain of blood, a figure emerged. When this figure bathed in blood rain appeared, all eyes are watching. He lowered his eyes halfway and paid attention. See this. The consciousness ghost, the shadowless ghost, and the double-eyed ghost are even more trembling. He's going to die. What kind of ghost appears in such a charming way? At the same time, the conscious ghosts and the shadowless ghosts said in unison, "Here he comes, it's Earl Diamond." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 566. Above the sky. Thousands of eyes looked at him with admiration as if they had seen their creator. And under such gaze, a figure crawled out from one of the eyeballs. It was a man with 3 rows of eyes on each side of his face. 6 eyes opened at the same time, and terrifying fluctuations of yin-chi rose from his body. The atmosphere on the court immediately dropped to freezing point. Falling into the ice cave. The conscious ghost, the shadowless ghost, and the double-eyed ghost stared blankly at this scene. They all screamed in surprise. Ghost, ghost. That's right. At this moment, the level of terror in this Earl of Diamond is impressively that of a ghost. They attracted a ghost. Are you kidding? He is a count, how can he be a ghost? The double-eyed ghost was the first to scream, with a tone like mourning a concubine. His eyes were full of disbelief. The Eli Empire is the worthy master of this land. The power mechanism of the empire is basically divided according to the level of terror. Apart from the royal family members, the dukes are the strongest in the empire. The last one is also the top ghost king, who is infinitely close to ghosts and gods, and the older generation of family heads are even more powerful ghosts. The second one is the Marquis, the unsolvable ghost king. Next, there is the Earl. Among the nobles under this title, the top ghost king is already considered to be the strongest. However, what appeared in front of them now was an extremely terrifying ghost and god. There were no more ghosts of this level than could be counted on both hands in the entire Eli Empire. What kind of evil had they done to be able to meet a ghost and god in a place like this? It's over. Hopeless. The double-eyed ghost's eyes were in a trance. The original intention of him and Shen Jian coming to the town was just to conduct an investigation and collect more information to the Elim temple. However, Shen Jian's performance along the way made him gradually forget that he came here to collect information. Instead of hitting the opponent's home base, let the enemy directly send its strongest combat force. Now, they couldn't escape even if they wanted to. Different from the despair of the double-eyed ghost, although there is fear in the eyes of the conscious ghost and the shadowless ghost, it is more of surprise. Because they were on a mission as evil ghosts and had seen the count with their own eyes. According to their judgment, Earl Diamond was only at the level of a top ghost king, and they were no match for one-on-one. However, once many people surrounded him, even the Earl could not defeat him with just 2 fists. But what is going on now? Don't you know either? You have carried out so many missions, don't you know that the count in the castle is fake? The shadowless ghost looked at the consciousness ghost in shock and anger. At this time, the consciousness ghost also fell into deep doubts and angrily said, "How the hell do I know? I am only responsible for the interrogation. The other conclusions are all drawn by you. I am just summarizing." Wait, is it possible? At this time, the consciousness ghost seemed to have thought of something. The pupils shrank. Then he blurted out, he turned himself into a devil. What? That's right, he turned himself into an evil ghost. Only evil ghosts can rise to this level in a short period of time, and it doesn't stop there. Remember what I just said. The original town had more than 300 households, with a total population of about 1,000. It's great to match the eyes in the sky, but what about the corpses? What about the corpses of other indigenous people who were eroded by resentment? Hear this. Others were also suddenly stunned. Then my heart trembled. Because they understand what consciousness ghost means. This Earl of Diamond first used his resentment to corrode these aborigines, then ate them, increasing his own resentment, and then used this resentment to make himself reach the level of ghosts and gods. How dare he? If you want to advance to the level of ghost and god, the population of a small town alone is not enough. Isn't he afraid that the incident will come to light, be known to the empire, and eventually lead to destruction? He is too bold. The plan is too thorough. After all these years, there has been no sign of leakage. In such a huge empire, no one knew about this. Concealing the truth. This is true concealment. Ha ha ha, now that you know it, then you can't even think of getting out alive. At this time, another voice sounded. Everyone looked up. I saw hundreds of eyeballs fused together, and finally squirmed, turning into a man exactly like Earl Diamond, except that instead of the 3 rows of eyes on his face, he was an old, middle-aged man. The supernatural oppression belonging to the top ghost king swept across the audience. Master, give these people to me, and I will make their eyes into a new round of ghost eyes. Born from hundreds of eyeballs, the evil eyes with the exact same face as Earl Diamond were currently staring at the figure below with a sinister look. This moment, consciousness ghosts and the others understand. The Earl Diamond who appeared now was the fake Earl they had always seen. The real Earl did not dare to move around because he had turned into an evil ghost, so they found a substitute. A top ghost king is eyeing him. A ghost and god locked. There is no doubt that the other party has no intention of leaving him alive. In such an atmosphere of panic, the real Earl Diamond had 3 rows of 6 eyes open, his gaze was cold, and hundreds of eyeballs were hanging beside him, like rows of soldiers waiting for the Creator's call, filling the sky. The whole town then followed his emotional changes, with gusts of dark wind blowing, and the ghost eyes in the sky were ferocious and terrifying, which made people feel chilly and felt like their souls were about to be torn out. Deal with them. Lord Diamond spoke. Looking down at the crowd, he looked like a king who was ready to take life and death. Yes. CMU's face suddenly changed. Eyes opened on him one after another, big eyes inside small eyes, hundreds of eyeballs filling his face, weird and penetrating. It was simply good news for trypophobia. He give your lives and I will make good use of your eyes. The cold voice emanated from Yinmu's eyes, which resounded directly in everyone's heart. An irresistible supernatural force descended suddenly. Master Priest, I feel so uncomfortable, my eyes are burning. When I see a fellow villager, my eyes well up with tears. Fellow, my eyes are weeping uncontrollably. Master, save me. The 3 ghosts shouted. I just felt a tearing sensation in my eyes, which was very painful. They covered their eyes and held them tight. Because they have an intuition that once their eyes are detached, they will die instantly. This is a fatal law. Even if they are abyss-level ghost kings, they will still die if this law is triggered. At that time, their eyes will be made into ghost eyes, which is equivalent to being separated from them forever. They will have an incomplete body and their dead time will be infinitely longer. Not to mention, they may be completely digested and become the material for Earl Diamond to nourish his resentment. They will never accept this outcome. Think of this. Everyone looked at Shen Jian. If the ghosts and gods don't take action, Shen Jian will definitely win with just a fake Earl. But the question now is, once the real Earl takes action, how long can Shen Jian resist? The other side. Shen Jian stood there very calmly. The color of his eyes is as usual. He felt familiar with Earl Diamond's method of promotion to ghosts and gods. If you think about it carefully, isn't this the blood sacrifice soul pill method that King Guo has mastered? The two methods have different processes, but the results are the same. They all adopted the method of killing a large number of evil ghosts to enhance their yin qi. Is there any connection between the two? Thinking. The evil eye's supernatural power has taken effect. Shen Jian turned a deaf ear. He glanced at the trio of double-eyed ghosts who were holding their eyes tightly, but blood had already begun to flow from their eye sockets. Think about it. Don't dwell too much on this matter anymore. He has already gained a lot from this trip to Chel's territory. Not only did he gather the requirements to unlock the Hell Realm, but he also learned the whereabouts of the Ghost Nun, understood the overt and covert struggle between the two saints, and more importantly, the scapegoat had been found. It can be predicted that once he makes Earl Diamond's affairs public, he will become a real hero in the Chell territory and win a lot of reputation. When the news spreads throughout the holy city, his reputation will continue to skyrocket. Entering Elim Temple and becoming a priest is just a matter of time. This wave. He is a 4-win winner. 1 Ma. Think about it this way. Shen Jian immediately lost the desire to continue communicating. He raised his eyes, staring at the ferocious ghost eyes that filled the sky. Then he grinned, "You have seen priests, but I don't know if you have seen war priests." Illumination. Shen Jian murmured softly. Ghost with double eyes? Shadowless ghost? They were slightly startled. God is fighting against Mufa Mage. You think you are playing a game? I still have Gandalf. And you, Gandalf, can do it too, at least you can still fight. But what the hell are you thinking about? Illumination. You want to say that after you turned on the illumination spell, you rushed forward to fight melee, so you called it a war priest, right? Boss, stop making trouble. However, just the next moment. What the hell, the consciousness ghost suddenly shouted. The voice contained countless emotions such as disbelief, fear, panic, and shock. In the end I was so shocked that I was speechless. In the end, it turned into a hum. Crazy, crazy, look behind you. The ghost of consciousness trembled and said. Pointing back, his teeth were chattering. Is it so exaggerated? It's just a lighting technique. At most, it uses thunder and lightning to create a little light. The shadowless ghost, who had seen Shen Jian use golden thunder, smiled disdainfully and turned away. Then, his expression stopped abruptly. What the hell? This moment, everyone's attention is drawn, including Earl Diamond, and all the ghost eyes that fill the sky. Everyone looked over. Their mouths opened wide and their eyes almost popped out. Oh my God, is this the lighting technique? Is this lighting technique a lighting technique? By damn lighting, you mean lighting up the world? Horror spread. Just because in front of everyone, a hot, bright, violent, and boundless golden sun hung in the sky. Infinite blazing golden light burst into the sky, illuminating the entire town in an instant and spreading to the entire Chell territory. That moment. It's dawn in Chell's territory at 2:30 in the morning. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 567. This moment. Everyone was dumbfounded. The 24K titanium alloy dog's eyes were blinded and fell into a sluggish state. They raised their heads and looked toward the sky. Above Shen Jian's palm, a bright golden sun rose out of the sky, and endless golden light burst into the sky, illuminating the entire town in an instant. Its radiance is so powerful that it penetrates all obstacles. Spread the light of the golden sun to the whole world. In a moment. Blazing fire, dazzling light, and endless heat suddenly bloomed in the sky above Shen Jian's palm. What kind of lighting is this? Isn't this just a small sun? Damn it! Too old. The illumination you are referring to is to bring out a sun to replace the moon and replace the night. Damn it, this is too luxurious. Are you sure you are a pastor? For those who didn't know, I thought your main profession was that of a god. The other side. High in the sky. Earl Diamond, his fake evil eyes, and even the hundreds of ferocious ghost eyes seemed to have been cast by a restraining technique at this moment. They were completely stagnant in place. After a pause, his whole body began to tremble uncontrollably. Those eyes were widened to the extreme. There were hundreds of eyes on his face, and he had the terrifying and supernatural evil eyes of the top Ghost King. He was also stunned on the spot. Damn it! Did you tell labor and management that this was lighting? I am the size of your grandma. A fight is a fight. Can you please stop flipping over the chessboard at every turn? Can you have some qualities of fair competition? Senseless. The whole audience was stunned. Looking at the golden sun with a diameter of more than 50 meters not far away, blooming and blinding people's eyes, and feeling the destructive energy fluctuations coming from inside the golden sun, Xie Yan was extremely frightened. When this golden sun hits, the entire town will disappear completely. Even most of Chel's territory will disappear into the Empire's territory, and everything will be dissolved. How could he, a small top ghost king, be worthy of such a big move? This is not anti-aircraft cannons to kill mosquitoes. What a beast! Hit him with something like this. Screaming. Without any hesitation, CMU turned around and retreated in the air, dragging out an after-image. At the same time, he did not forget to reach out and say, "Master, save me." At this time, whoever doesn't run will have Shabai. He ran to Lord Diamond to seek refuge. However, Earl Diamond, who was hanging in the void and guarded by many eyes, also had 6 eyes widened at this moment, and shouted angrily, "You idiot, don't come here." He also lost his soul. There is no trace of the fierceness he had when he first appeared. Save you. The first thing you think of is seeking refuge with me, the master. The master is very happy, but please don't attract the Japanese here. Your master, how many kilograms I have, don't you have some idea in your mind? Think of this. Diamond said with a trembling tone, "CMU, listen to me, master, his lighting technique is just bright, but in fact it has no power at all. It's just a decoration at best, and it's just a little too big at most. Don't be afraid, be brave if you have the courage to rush forward, maybe you will see through his trick." He comforted him. The meaning behind the words is, don't think so much, just hit it. If you lose the bet, you will melt. If you win the bet, you will be a hero. Evil eyes. Hear this. He couldn't help scolding his mother, in this case, "Master, do you dare to come back and talk again?" All eyes. They all turned around. They happened to see that their creator, Earl Diamond, was already 100 meters away from here. And he was still running for his life. Their eyes almost popped out. Grass. You are a real dog. He knows how to treat people as cannon fodder. Before their journey is over. Shen Jian moved. He waved. A bright golden sun that seemed to have been compressed billions of times just left the palm of my hand and slowly fell from the sky. It seemed to be soothing and elegant, but it crossed a distance of hundreds of meters in the blink of an eye, and landed in the middle of Earl Diamond and all the ghost eyes from the overwhelming force. At the same time, the sky seemed to be ignited, and the roaring aftermath of the originally raging clouds was completely annihilated. A blinding white glare from the sky and the earth filled the entire town. The scope was so large that it seemed to cause the sky to tremble and the earth to crack. Cruel. No. The evil eyes and all the ghost eyes that were hid from the front were all frightened. They watched helplessly as the golden sun continued to expand in their pupils, until the world in front of them turned into a vast expanse of white. In an instant. They don't know anything anymore. At the same time, Earl Diamond, who was running for his life, also noticed that his ghost slaves were dying in droves. Just a breath. Thousands of supernatural creations that he refined into ghost slave properties were completely scrapped in this way. His heart was bleeding. The resentment in his heart has boiled and reached its peak. However, he didn't dare to stop at all, let alone look back. He wouldn't be able to withstand a supernatural attack of this level if it stayed for even 1 second longer. Dog day. Who the hell is this pastor? There is absolutely no such figure in the Empire. Otherwise, how could a being with such terrifying strength remain unknown? Thinking. Earl Diamond's pupils shrank again. His face suddenly became stiff. Because after killing all his ghost slaves, the aftermath of the attack was still continuing. He could clearly feel that there seemed to be a sun approaching him very quickly behind him. The speed was so fast that he had no time to react. In just an instant, there were burning sounds coming from his back, and his body seemed to be melting. Earl Diamond almost cried. WDNMD. You are not a human being. The aftermath of the attack was so long-lasting, no man could survive it for so long. After all, he was also a ghost and god, but he didn't expect to be taken away by a wave before he could take action. It's too unfair. If he had known this was the case, he should have taken action directly at that time. Even if he died, he would have shown his strength at least. In the sound of resentment, the destructive wave of the golden sun overtook the count. Ah! A shrill howl sounded. Screams were heard. Shen Jian thought for a while. A wave of slaves. The devastating explosion that filled the sky and the earth was finally erased and dissipated between the sky and the earth. At the same time, Earl Diamond's broken body fell down with half of his body missing. Smashed into a house. This moment, the whole place was dead silent. The consciousness ghost, the shadowless ghost, and the double-eyed ghost looked at the scene in disbelief. A minute ago, there are thousands of eyeballs dotted in the sky over the town, a ghost and god hangs in the sky, and a top ghost king dominates the whole place. 1 minute later, the town was devastated, and there was nothing left in the sky except raging clouds. Turning your hands over becomes clouds, turning over your hands becomes rain. What a terrifying strength this is. Spirits. No, if this is a ghost, then who is Earl Diamond? That count is the real ghost. And Shen Jian is above ghosts and gods. Destroy world-level ghosts and gods. The three of them were horrified. Enthusiasm suddenly bloomed in his eyes. Is this the correct way to open a pastor? The situation was smaller before. Undoubtedly the strongest profession. It turns out that this is what real priests learn. Illumination is to light up the world, and the ball in the fireball technique refers to the meteorite. I understand. Damn it, listening to you is better than reading. The threesome shows off. I felt like I had learned some big secret. When I think of the golden sun at that time, I feel extremely excited. He looked at Shen Jian with fiery eyes and said, Coach, I want to learn this. To this. Shen Jian ignored it. He came to Earl Diamond and stared at the disfigured body. Suddenly, the body moved. The face that was so charred that the facial features could not be distinguished turned his head with difficulty, and his two dark eyes stared directly at Shen Jian. Shen Jian was not surprised. As long as Li Gui didn't die on the spot, even if he was broken into pieces, it wouldn't prove that he was dead. Such was the case with this count. He withdrew some of his strength and did not let the opponent freeze. Coupled with the ghost-level supernatural power, the Earl barely retained some consciousness. If the other party is allowed to lie here for a year and a half, he can recover on his own. This is the special thing about Ligui. The supernatural beings are immortal and the evil ghosts are immortal. I ask, you answer. Once you answer, I let you reincarnate. Earl Diamond. He didn't have any facial features right now, otherwise he would definitely have a twitch in his mouth. You are a horse-riding person. If you reincarnate, you don't want me to die. You might as well just say that you have drained my value and killed me. He wanted to be tough. But his strength did not allow it, and his desire for life made him hesitate for a while, then nodded. If you answer it well, you may still have a chance to live. Are you from Blair Saint? Right. Besides here, are there any other experimental sites for cultivating evil spirits? There is another place where my brother is guarding. Do you have any evidence of the saint's guilt? This time, the silence lasted particularly long. Having said this, Earl Diamond seemed to have accepted the reality and said frankly, when the saint came to me for cooperation, I refused, but the conditions she offered were too generous, and I failed to resist the temptation. I also tried to transform myself into an evil ghost, but I didn't expect it to be out of control. Finally, in order to prevent the saint from killing her, I recorded everything and used it as my final trump card. Inside the castle. Shen Jian nodded. Just have evidence. Thinking. Shen Jian looked at Earl Diamond again and grinned. Don't worry, you can't die now, I still need you to build up my reputation. Earl Diamond? He was slightly startled. To gain reputation? I heard what you said from the mouth of the Blair Saint. Damn it, it turns out you guys are the same. If I had told you that you were wearing the same pair of pants, would I still need to do something? Damn it, I can cooperate with you. His eyes widened. Immediately afterwards. It was completely dead. Before his consciousness dissipated, he felt extremely wronged. Who is it? It's obviously a win-win situation, but you have to win twice. Too selfish. Do it all. Shen Jian walked back. His eyes suddenly fell on the double-eyed ghost. Ghost with double eyes? He subconsciously put his hands on his chest. Brother, I don't like men on top of men. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 568. At this time, the atmosphere on the field was somewhat quiet. Shen Jian's expression remained as usual, his eyes calmly staring at the double-eyed ghost. At present, the conditions for unlocking the Hell Realm have been met or even exceeded. He doesn't care whether there is one more or one less red-clothed level ghost. But he must take away the dragon energy in the opponent's body. This was one of his main reasons for coming to Olympus. It is also the key to gathering the authority of Qi Qingguo, one of Luo Fengtian, in the Yintian Palace of Zhouju in the future. Do you know why I want to help you? Think about it. Shen Jian said casually. Ghost with double eyes. He was slightly startled. A series of questions flashed through my mind. Help me? Are you sure you're helping me? Before coming here, I believed you were dressed as a priest, and I believed you were selflessly trying to help me. But now, this idea has long since changed. Ever since Shen Jian entered Chel's territory, his image as a priest has collapsed, and it's the same kind of collapse. The three men who were playing tricks and defrauded each other and acted more professionally than the ghost traffickers. He forcibly breaks into houses and beats residents, making him a worse bully than the bullies in the old society. Killing evil spirits indiscriminately shows his murderous side. Threatening, intimidating, taking pleasure in it. He is even more concerned about the affairs of the small town than me, the client. Tell me now, are you helping me? Help me for what? Help me turn this town into a dead town? The double-eyed ghost's mouth twitched. A little bit unbearable. Certainly. He also knew that this town was hopeless. Shen Jian's move was just the final step to its demise. The real culprit was Earl Diamond and even the Blair Saint behind it. Then he forced a smile and said, "Priest, maybe I still have some value in me." Shen Jian nodded and didn't hide anything. "Judging from the situation just now, you should also know how difficult it is to get out, but have you ever thought about why you can avoid these surveillances and reach the holy city unharmed?" Hear this. The double-eyed ghost was stunned. This really doesn't feel right. Judging from the thousands of ghost eyes scattered all over the town, it was impossible for him, a small red-clothed level ghost, to escape. But the reality is that he didn't encounter any interception until he escaped from the town. This is really abnormal. Why? Because of dragon energy. Shen Jian raised his hand. 4 dragon auras emitting golden light surrounded him. Not long ago, you were selected by a dragon energy and became its host, and helped you suppress the evil ghost personality in your body. Because of this, you were able to wake up. At the same time, because you were selected by the dragon energy, your luck became extremely good. Only in this way can we avoid the surveillance range of ghosts and successfully escape from the town every time. The double-eyed ghost became more and more silent as he listened. Because this is the most reasonable explanation. Moreover, after arriving in the holy city, apart from running into trouble in the church, he was indeed very lucky and all his wishes came true. There seems to be no other possibility except luck. So, Pastor, do you want to take back this dragon energy now? The double-eyed ghost probed. Shen Jian smiled half-heartedly and said nothing. The double-eyed ghost shivered. He slapped himself hard. Oh my God! He is so obsessed. How dare you want to keep this dragon energy in front of a world-destroying ghost and God? Isn't this just looking for fun? He would rather laugh outside than cry in the sack. Think of this. The double-eyed ghost immediately said, "Priest, please take it." See this. Shen Jian was very satisfied. The dragon energy in the double-eyed ghost was taken away. In an instant. A deep resentment suddenly emerged from the double-eyed ghost. The resentment belonging to the evil ghost personality can explode with the departure of the dragon energy, taking the opportunity to seize the body. Shen Jian snorted coldly. "Reach out and pull." A black soul was pulled out. Double-eyed ghost evil body? He was stunned. I am a second personality, how could I be separated from my true body? Damn it! What is happening outside? How could something so outrageous happen? He looked up suddenly. Standing in front of him were 2 evil spirits with ferocious faces, sharpening their knives against him. "No, we are the same kind. At least give us an explanation." The evil body howled. "Excuse me, then ask yourself if you are worthy. Who is the same as you? We are a member of the Redemption Society. You are just a cerebellum that has not yet fully developed. You dare to take over the body in front of your master. You are very courageous." The shadowless ghost and the conscious ghost cursed. Expressing loyalty. Ghost with double eyes. He couldn't help but hold his forehead. Although it was an evil spirit who wanted to steal his body, it was still him after all. It was a rare experience to see himself being beaten violently. But he thought that if the dragon energy hadn't chosen him, he might have been like the people in this town, and his body would have been taken over by evil spirits. Then, leave me a piece of land and I will fight it too. He cursed and rushed forward, joining in the beating of himself. Screams sounded. The other side. After recovering the 5th dragon energy, a scarlet panel emerged. It has been detected that the player has mission content beyond this copy, which has been displayed. Hidden mission, The Wrath of the Evernight King. Current progress, 5/9. Remember, the player has recovered half of Kingwo's national destiny and has unlocked more permissions. Note, for each additional dragon energy recovered, the national luck buff increases by 20%. If the national luck exceeds 50%, players can choose to change ownership. Note, half of the permissions are recycled. Players can detect dragon aura clues once every other month. Densely packed scarlet fonts appeared on the panel. Shen Jian looked thoughtful. The whereabouts of dragon energy can be explored once a month, which is good news. It is currently known that a dragon spirit is in the Jade Seal passed down from the Qing Kingdom. There are no clues for the remaining 3 paths. 3 dragon chi, that is, it takes 3 months. At this time, he can still accept it? As for the change of ownership, Shen Jian narrowed his eyes. He remembered that he also had the title of Redeemer of the country, and the royal family members he was close to had an increased chance of succeeding in seizing the heir. Thinking. Shen Jian withdrew his gaze. After looking at the dead Earl Diamond, he suppressed his racing thoughts. It will take a long time to recover Zhouju Yintian Palace. There is no need to think so much. The most important thing right now is to spread the news about Chel's territory according to the plan and gain reputation. Then he entered Elim Temple, became a priest, and contacted the saint to see if the new saint was the nun he knew. Certainly. He has one more important thing. That is to use the Elim Temple, a theocratic power that is comparable to the imperial power, to find out how the authority of this deep ghost realm in Olympus is displayed. The Qing Kingdom passed down the imperial seal, but what about the Eli Empire? Think about it for a moment. Shen Jian turned and left. Seeing this, the trio of double-eyed ghosts also followed them. This is the thigh of a world-destroying ghost and god. If they can hug it, no one will dare to touch them. And first, they need to make achievements in the Redemption meeting. The Redemption Society, this must be an organization full of love. On the way back to the Holy City, the chat interface has changed. The messages came in fits and starts with long intervals. Yunlong, Yama, they saw the opportunity of your absence, and they really attacked. Players led by Mike found the Archbishop here and told you that you were suspected of being corrupted by resentment and colluding with the dark side of the monastery. Yunlong, this news is very fatal. Pastors of churches need to ensure their own purity. Once it is proven that you have been eroded by resentment, you will lose your identity as a pastor at the least, or be judged by the church at the worst. Tens of minutes later. Yunlong? Yunlong, how did you do it? Is this what you have left behind? How did you instigate these believers to rebel? Mike and the others complained to the Archbishop. Not only did the Archbishop not believe it, but even the believers below did not believe it. They even got angry. If they were not in the church, these players would have died long ago. Yunlong, I admire you, Yan Luo, your skills are too high. You are thousands of miles away, but you can control the life and death of these players at any time. You are indeed worthy of being listed as the top secret #1 by the Great Xia Dragon Bird headquarters. Yun Mao was impressed. Finished reading. Shen Jian looked as usual. This did not surprise him. In a religious empire where imperial power and divine power coexist, there are tens of millions of believers in glorious ghosts and gods. This is the god in the eyes of believers, and they can pay any price for it. Dare to insult the glorious ghosts and gods, this is definitely a taboo among taboos. Although he is not a glorious ghost and god, he has shown the ability to resonate with the glorious ghost and god, and may be able to listen to the oracles of the glorious ghost and god in the future. With such an identity superimposed, slandering him is equivalent to slandering the glorious ghost and god. These white players are lucky if they didn't get ripped off. Thoughts are turning. Another private message was sent. Yunlong, Yama, it's bad. Originally, this matter has been settled, but by chance, the saint from the Elim temple came. Mike and the others finally got the saint to prepare to investigate the matter thoroughly at the cost of their lives. Everyone is waiting for you to come back. This is a hangmen banquet. Yunlong, it's over if you can't explain the dark side. You'd better not come back. Shen Jian frowned slightly. King Yama, which saint? The affairs of Chel's territory were not exposed so quickly, so the possibility of questioning him could be ruled out. The rest were probably found after hearing that he could resonate with the glorious ghosts and gods. Yunlong, I heard from the female knights around me that she was a saint named Leah. Shen Jian was slightly startled. There was a bit of smile in his eyes. King Yama, very good, I understand. Yunlong? Good. Damn it. This is so good. Your reaction is too bland. If this is exposed, let alone the main mission, whether he can walk out of the church alive will be a problem. With such a calm reaction, does he still have a trump card? Yunlong, who was far away in the holy city cathedral, fell into deep thought. He looked a little shocked. Do you really have a trump card? Damn it. How did you do that? Obviously I entered the church 3 days earlier than you, but you not only instigated the rebellion of the believers and the archbishop of the church, but are there also your people in the Elim temple? Your network of connections is all over the horror world, right? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 569. Cathedral. A group of white players were tied up, and many believers around them looked at them with disgust. The grimaces revealed angry and distorted looks. Apparently, in the eyes of these believers, the behavior of white players has violated taboos, openly slandering Shen Jian and slandering a priest in a sacred church. If Shen Jian is corroded by resentment, how can he resonate with the glorious ghosts and gods? Doesn't this underlying meaning mean that the glorious ghosts and gods don't understand people well and made a big mistake? Pooh! How could the god they believed in make mistakes? The ones who made the mistake must be these framers. The other side. The players who were tied up by Wu Huada also turned pale and lowered their heads, but the fear on their faces could not be concealed. They're out of luck. No one could have imagined that Shen Jian just arrived at the church 4 or 5 days ahead of them and had the entire church's believers and the archbishop siding with him. Even if they present evidence, others don't believe it. This can be explained by more than just one hum. It was just bad luck. They discovered that since the addition of Shen Jian, an oriental-faced ghost master, the changes in the copy exceeded their expectations time and time again. First, the 4-star difficulty Blood Monastery dungeon was changed to a 5-star dungeon. Then there were new changes within the monastery, which revealed their dark side. As a result, a group of 4-star players who dominated the outside world were like a lost dog in the dungeon, and could only rely on hide and seek to avoid danger. The first pass of the Sea of Bitterness was extremely difficult, and it took me 4 full days of swimming before I could barely get out. After coming to the church was equally difficult for them. Except for Mike becoming a trainee priest, they can only become servants lower than believers. In this case, let alone improving his reputation and becoming a priest of the temple within 5 years, whether he can be promoted to a priest is still a question. It is foreseeable that in the next 10 or 15 years, they may have to stay in Olympus for the rest of their lives. Certainly. The premise is that they can survive here for more than 10 years. It can be said that this is basically equivalent to sentencing them to death. In this case, they need an outlet and an opportunity to break the situation. Unfortunately, Shen Jian's performance in the Sea of Suffering can be used to break the situation and enhance their status in the church. However, they didn't expect that they would be targeted. If this was not a church, their group of players would have lost at least half of it. Don't panic, we still have a chance. The player with the ID mic pretended to be calm, but cold sweat broke out from the back of his spine and flowed down his spine. He is the player with the highest level in this dungeon. He has experienced countless dangerous and supernatural dungeons, but he persisted until the end and successfully cleared the dungeon. This time will be no exception. Mike, are you sure that the so-called saint can save our current situation? If it fails this time, we will really be dead. A white player said in fear, his voice trembling. So what about 4-star players? In 5-star dungeons, they are no different from newcomers to horror games. Anyway, if you make a mistake, you will die. Okay, Mike nodded and said in a low voice, I have learned about the location of this 5-star dungeon. This is a city called Holy City. The Elim Temple, the pinnacle of divine power and a supernatural place, is located here. The status of the saint among them is so high that even the emperor has no power to deal with her. And I've heard that Saint Leia is very kind. Because of this, I rushed out desperately and begged the other party to make the decision. Otherwise, why do you think we are still talking here? As long as we can prove that the Eastern Ghost Controller was corrupted by resentment, we will not only be innocent, but we may also be able to fall into the eyes of the saint. From then on, we will skyrocket and clear the dungeon within 5 years. As soon as these words came out, all the white players seemed to have been beaten to death. It took them 5 years to clear the 5-star difficulty dungeon, but it was still starting from hell. If they could clear it, their experience would be recorded in the history of the Holy See. With this experience, they might also be able to be trained to become 5-star players. Think of this. They were suddenly looking forward to it. By the way, where did that yellow guy go? He hasn't seen anyone for 2 days. He won't wait until the saint is gone before he comes back. A white player said worriedly. You can't escape. This is the Holy City. As long as the saint wants to investigate, no matter where the other party escapes, it will be useless. What's more, do you think the other party is willing to give up his current identity? Mike was incredibly confident. At this time, a voice sounded. She is a female knight wearing armor. Holy lady, that priest is back. Hear this. All the white players looked happy. That damn yellow guy is finally back. If it weren't for him, how could they have suffered such humiliation? They wanted to see how Shen Jian would argue in front of the saint in the temple. After all, it is a fact that Shen Jian took away the dark side. If not eroded by resentment, how could a human player do such a thankless job? This is the only thing they are extremely sure of. Soon, Shen Jian, wearing a guild priest's robe, strode into the church. At this time, the atmosphere in the church was solemn. At the bottom, a group of believers stood together, headed by the archbishop. Seeing Shen Jian, they all showed pious expressions. In the center, rows of white players were kneeling on the ground, their hands bound. When they saw Shen Jian, their faces were gloomy and hatred flashed in their eyes. To this, Shen Jian chose to ignore it. His eyes fell on a row of strangers sitting on the church pews to his left. 5 female knights, and a blonde girl sitting on a bench with her head lowered and her hands clasped together as if praying. The girl turned her back to him. Wearing a solemn white saint costume. Her skin is fair, almost translucent, and her long golden hair hangs down to her buttocks. Looking down, an astonishing arc held up the loose white robe. Just by visual inspection, Shen Jian could tell that it was at least 36, and it was D, with a waist-to-hip ratio of 0.71. This kind of figure is not considered the golden ratio, but it is a standard hot figure. It's the kind that makes men and women excited when they see it and want to catch it. Further down, it was completely covered by the skirt. Such a hot figure, appearing on a holy girl with a holy and solemn standard, is enough to make people have unlimited reveries. On the one hand, they knew that this was a respected saint and they should not have any sinful thoughts. On the other hand, but he couldn't help but want to use the solemn saint's dress to destroy the saint. This contradictory immorality is the greatest temptation of the saint. It makes people want to hate him. Fall. Shen Jian was shocked. Really? It was the nun-ghost he met in the underworld ward dungeon. Who else can achieve this coexistence of sanctity and sensuality, as well as a hot body that cannot be grasped by big hands, except Sister Leia? He had only seen such contradictory beauty in Sister Leia. While Shen Jian was observing, Saint Leia, who was praying, also stopped and turned around to look. This glance. It is destined to be impossible to move away. Saint Leia turned around and met a pair of familiar faces. Her pupils shrank. My mind was in a huge shock. Subconsciously, "Doctor, doctor." The words fell. Sister Leia was pleasantly surprised and planned to run over. Suddenly, her pupils turned scarlet. The steps stopped abruptly. At the same time, a voice of resentment sounded in the mind of Saint Leia, "Stupid sister, have you forgotten where this place is? Go and get to know that pervert now, and others will believe you will be fair later. Will you deal with this? Doctors are not bad people. Also, sister, you have a deep misunderstanding of doctors. Doctors are not perverts." Lila. Not a pervert? Wouldn't it be that the pervert would lure her, this stupid sister, into lowering her bottom line step by step? From sleeping in the same bed to helping each other take a bite. And when her stupid sister didn't know, the pervert touched her again and kissed her. Although she and Leia share the same body, the other person is a scumbag, playing with both of their sisters at the same time, and having an affair with a patient in the ward. This is irrefutable proof. Only her stupid sister believed that this man had no bad intentions towards her. Lila curled her lips and glared at Shen Jian without leaving any trace. "Anyway, hold on tight now, don't let people here know that you two are related, otherwise that bitch Carlyle will take advantage of it." Finished. Lila gave up control of her body. Leia also reacted at this time. His expression returned to calm. He said in a calm but dignified tone, "Are you the pastor here?" Did Lila come out just now? Shen Jian had an idea and nodded. Just now, he clearly noticed that Saint Leia wanted to run over, but when she raised her foot, she put it down again. At the same time, a shallow supernatural wave disappeared in an instant. At least the top ghost king. There was some emotion in Shen Jian's eyes. When he first met the two sisters Lila, they were still top red-clad ghosts. Unexpectedly, after not seeing him for more than half a year, he has already reached the top ghost king. He didn't believe that this speed increase had nothing to do with the glorious ghosts and gods. These people say you are corrupted by resentment. What do you want to say? Saint Leia looked at the white players and asked. The frame-up of a clown. Shen Jian just glanced at it and said casually. Hear this. A lot of white players were anxious. They glared angrily and roared, "Stop pretending, we all saw the scene when you walked out of the monastery with your dark side. Damn yellow guy, you have the guts to do it, but you don't have the guts to admit it, right? Lady Saint, don't believe him. He has definitely been eroded by resentment. You only need to check to see through his disguise. That's right. We also need to prevent him from jumping over the wall and escaping. It's best to seal this place off. Players, you say something to me." The scene suddenly became noisy. Saint Leia frowned, opened her lips, and was about to make a sound. Lila's angry voice sounded again, "What do you want to do? The doctors have said this is a false accusation. What are these people still arguing about? How can people like doctors, who save lives and help the wounded, be eroded by resentment? These people are really annoying. Lila, sister, these people are clearly trying to frame this pervert. If you say this, not only will they not wake up, they will start to criticize you, saying that you are bending the law for personal gain and protecting others." After the exchange of consciousness, Saint Leia said calmly, then what do you think we should do? Testing him, I know that the Holy Lady is one of the few beings in the temple who can listen to the oracle. Any resentment incarnated in front of you has nowhere to hide. We hope that the Holy Lady will give us justice. The player whose ID is Mike said solemnly. See this. Saint Leia looked at Shen Jian. Test. Then let's take a test. It's my honor to be able to bathe in the glory of the saint. Shen Jian smiled. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 570. This so-called test has touched the hearts of many people. The believers in the church did not believe what Mike and others said, and believed that this test was an insult to the pastor of their church. However, in the presence of the Holy Lady, they had no way to stop it. As for the white players, when they heard that the saint was willing to help, they all showed excitement. In their eyes, Shen Jian must have been corrupted by resentment. It's just that he was disguised, or that he adapted to his human identity quickly enough, so that he didn't reveal any flaws. But this disguise has no place to hide in front of the Saint of Elim temple. They're going to break. Under such gaze, Shen Jian stretched out his hand and let Saint Leia grab it. A special supernatural wave spread out. A bright star shines in their hands. The doctor's hands are more beautiful than the goddess's. Saint Leia murmured in her heart. It was really inappropriate to use the word beautiful to describe a man's hands, but other than this word, she couldn't think of other words. It is completely natural, like divine jade, like the most perfect masterpiece in the world. This is her most intuitive feeling. Wrong. This was a level above beauty. Staring at Shen Jian's hand, she seemed to see a whole world kneeling down, wanting to surrender to the owner of this hand. This is the perfect body that only a god can possess. In the eyes of the world, God should be so perfect. The more powerful a god is, the closer his body is to the unsullied divine body in people's minds. Lila. She couldn't help but hold her forehead. Do not do that. I know that you resonate very closely with that goddess of radiance, and there is no evil in what you say. But when it comes to saying that, she really looks like a female pervert. In the words of that color embryo, this is manual control. The other side. Shen Jian is also a little weird. He looked around. I saw Saint Leia staring straight at his hand, as if she was admiring some supreme masterpiece. This nun, does she have such a hobby? Shen Jian's eyes moved. Saint Leia. Level, Top Ghost King. Introduction, a devout believer in the radiant ghosts and gods, whose faith cannot be shaken. His holy and flawless soul attracted the attention of the ghosts and gods, and he became a saint in the Elim temple. However, she was often warned by the radiant ghosts and gods to advise her to stay away from scumbags. None of them are good. Current status, happy, curious, exploring, worried. Favorability, 83, confused. Shen Jian's eyes were surprised. 83 points of favor? He remembered that when he left the dungeon of the underworld ward, Sister Leah's favorability was only at over 70 points. Now that they haven't seen each other for more than half a year, he was already prepared for his favorability to drop below 60 points, but unexpectedly it increased instead. Entered 80 points of favorability. But confused. Shen Jian was thoughtful. 80 points of favorability is the intimacy stage. This stage is equivalent to the level of a newlywed couple. If you are properly prepared, there will be no problem even if you take the last step. However, Saint Leia was confused. Are you still unsure of your thoughts? Or, dare not admit it? Thinking. The test is over. Everyone looked on extremely nervously. The saint is indeed a saint. Such a responsible attitude simply brings tears to the eyes of the players. They are most afraid that the saint will act hastily. They did not expect that the other party would be so careful to observe whether Shen Jian is eroded by resentment. Now, that yellow guy is dead. Under such a respectful gaze, Saint Leia said, he has not been eroded by resentment. As soon as these words came out, all the white players were confused. Not eroded by resentment? How can this be? How could a human player think of bringing the dark side out of the monastery if he hadn't been corrupted? Isn't he afraid of being backlashed by the dark side and eventually reaping the consequences? This is unreasonable. The player with the ID mic panicked. His face turned pale. He stared at Shen Jian with disbelief in his eyes. This Eastern Ghost Master is actually still a human being, not a ghost player whose body has been taken over by the dark side. He guessed wrong. The consequences of guessing wrong is death. He was falsely accusing a priest who received devout worship from churchgoers. In the religious empire of the Middle Ages, this kind of behavior would have been punishable by hanging and being burned alive. This moment, he was afraid. Suddenly, he glanced out of the corner of his eye and caught a glimpse of Shen Jian blinking at Saint Leia, and the saint's eyes also lit up. Mike. He was slightly startled. Then his pupils shrank and he thought of a possibility. Damn it! Could it be that the Eastern Ghost Controller knew the saint? I'm crazy. Is there such a coincidence? Under the threat of life and death, Mike remembered a detail. When she first saw Shen Jian, the saint was indeed a little excited and seemed to be planning to shout something, but she stopped in the end. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that these two people knew each other. It's not that Shen Jian was not eroded by resentment, but that the saint protected him. What the hell, what a bitch. He was about to speak, but unexpectedly Shen Jian had already walked over. He leaned over and whispered, "My goal has been achieved, you are worthless to me." The words fell. All the white players in the field fell to the ground. Shen Jian stood up. His eyes were full of indifference. He kept these people in order to keep the dark side alive, use the immortality of ghosts to build the reputation of the Redemption Society, and then cooperate with him to harvest reputation and collect evil ghosts. But for the trip to Chel's territory, he had already completed the conditions for unlocking the Hell Realm. These white players are completely useless. It's really a hindrance to let these people continue to play around. Lock them all up, I need to find out why these people are trying to frame me. Shen Jian issued the order. The believers obeyed. The huge church became quiet again. Not long after, Saint Leia said, "Priest, I have heard rumors about you. It is said that you can resonate with the glorious ghosts and gods. Can we talk alone? Go to the prayer room." Prayer room. When Shen Jian closed the door, Saint Leia, who originally looked solemn, and whose every move was filled with a divine temperament, suddenly changed her expression. She grabbed Shen Jian's hand and said happily, "Doctor, I didn't expect that we can meet here." Shen Jian smiled. Naturally, he put his hand on the round head of the saint and touched it. He still remembers that the other party likes him like this. As expected, Saint Leia narrowed her eyes, moved her head closer, and cupped Shen Jian's palm, enjoying the other's movements like stroking a kitten. Lila. This pervert touched her sister, and she felt the same way. But this feeling is not bad. Then, she also made a sound of hum with some satisfaction. A long time. Shen Jian just let go. Saint Leia stood aside with some trepidation. Covering his face. She seemed to feel that someone as big as herself and a saint could act like a little girl, which made her feel very shy. It was as if someone had seen something bad. See this. Shen Jian changed the subject and said, "Leia, this is a deep ghost realm. How did you get here? Hear this." Saint Leia adjusted her mood and explained, "It was the goddess who gave me the oracle and asked me to come here." Goddess? That's Lord Glorious Demon. Shenjian paused for a moment. This news is really shocking. There are tens of millions of believers in the Eli Empire, and the representative of the divine power who coexists with the imperial power is actually a female ghost. Apart from the Queen of Evernight, this was the first time he heard about the existence of other female ghosts and gods. And compared with the Queen of Eternal Night, this glorious ghost and god is not something that ordinary ghosts and gods can touch, no matter the years of existence or the level of terror. World-destroying ghosts and gods. Doctor, how come you are here? And you have become a priest. What's the matter? Saint Leia asked curiously. Think about it. Shenjian said, I'm here to take back the authority here. I guess the control of this deep ghost realm should be in the hands of the Emperor here. Permissions, Saint Leia was stunned. Does it mean the scepter enshrined in the temple? I heard the goddess mention that the scepter enshrined in the temple has the authority to modify the rules. I asked where the rules were to be modified, and the goddess said it was the entire empire. Shenjian was shocked. The Eli Empire radiates throughout Olympus. Modifying the rules of the empire is rewriting Luo Fengtian's laws. That's right. This is the authority of Luo Fengtian he is looking for. Is there any way to get it? Doctor, do you want this? This is a bit difficult, because only the saint finally selected by the temple can hold the scepter, but the time I have been here is too short, and it is difficult to have a chance to surpass another saint. Hear this. Shenjian narrowed his eyes. He has understood that there can only be one saint in Elim Temple. In other words, if he wants Leia to become a true saint and take charge of the temple, Saint Carlisle must be eliminated. Unfortunately, he has evidence in his hand that ruins the other party's reputation. Think of this. Shenjian secretly became excited. If you want to have the opportunity to get the scepter and reclaim the authority of Olympus, then the most critical human path among the 6 paths of reincarnation can be unlocked. This is also his most important purpose. I have evidence in my hands. Without hiding anything, Shenjian told the story about Chel's territory. After listening, Saint Leia's eyes widened. At this time, Lila appeared, her scarlet eyes flashing. If this is the case, then Carlisle, this bitch, is dead. If you dare to bully my sister, I will twist her head off. Se embryo, you are still of some use. Once we collect the evidence, we will bring her down completely. Talked for a quarter of an hour. Saint Leia left in a hurry. Temple of Elim. Saint Leia knelt in front of the pure white temple. Moods rise and fall. What? Still think that bitch Carlisle can't do such a thing? Lila was about to persuade. But Leia said coldly, Sister, I feel so strange. It was obviously because of Sister Hillis's words I may have found the one I love that I ran to the church to meet the pastor, but now, I feel a little uncomfortable. Sister Hillis has never been so interested in a man before. I just wanted to check it out, but I didn't expect this man to be a doctor. Sister Hillis, has she fallen in love with the doctor? Sister, I'm a little confused. Lila pouted. No words were spoken. Let Leah's thoughts run wild. Night falls. In the dead of night, a figure quietly left the temple. The scarlet eyes symbolize that she is now Lila. Stupid sister, in this kind of thing, of course whoever takes the lead first. She snorted coldly. This pervert took advantage of their sisters and now dares to hook up with others. Fortunately, she accidentally hooked up with her stupid sister's only good friend here. Mixed emotions for sure. But her stupid sister wouldn't give in, but she wouldn't. Think of this. She quietly left the temple, her destination, the cathedral. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigua. Chapter 571. Cathedral. Coming out of the confinement room where white players were detained, Shen Jian ran into Yunlong and Lucy who were waiting here. What? Do you want to come and plead for those people? He glanced slightly at the two of them. Except for him, all the 5-star dungeons in this dungeon are members of the Holy See and the official Ghost Masters of the Western world. In a sense, the players here are all in the same group. Yamluo, don't get me wrong, I didn't come to you to talk about this. The ordinary man with the ID Yunlong raised his hands to show that he had no such thoughts. The little foreign girl with the ID Lucy also opened her mouth, shook her head and said, the behavior of the horror game players in the copy does not raise the international situation. They framed you. This is what they deserve. There is nothing to defend. She wasn't convinced at all. If it were her, she would definitely do more cruel things than Shen Jian. After all, it is normal for someone to frame someone else in the dungeon and try to achieve his own goals through framing him. He would be killed. This is all too common in horror games. I just want to know, how will you deal with them? Don't forget, that Mike also has an older brother, who is the leader of the Holy Knights. By your standards, the leader of the Holy Knights is equivalent to Inspector, is a position that only the number 1 in the supernatural circle can take, and at the same time, the other party is also the first 5-star player in the Western world to reach level 60 or above. Lucy explained. And as far as I know, Mike and his brother are very dependent on each other and have a very good relationship. They may leave some life-saving tools on Mike. Once the Holy See knows that an Eastern Ghost Master has appeared here, the West will stop it at all costs. Spread of the message. Shen Jian tilted his head. Who said I wanted to kill him? Yunlong? Lucy? They were slightly startled. It seemed that he didn't understand what Shen Jian meant. Don't want to kill? If you don't want to kill, then why are you going to all this trouble? You don't really think that you are a pastor and can influence these people? Damn it! Don't fool yourself first. Come out. Shen Jian said. The words fell. A player walked out of the confinement room. It's Mike. The two of them were shocked. Take another look. Even more shocked. Because this Mike is filled with overwhelming resentment, and his face reveals the madness of choosing and devouring others. Evil ghost? Mike turned into an evil ghost. No, the evil ghost took over his body. The two of them just wanted to be on guard. Snapped. Shen Jian slapped him on the back of the head with a big dick, and cursed, you can't change it, can you? Can you change it? If you can't, I will send you on your way. While talking, Shen Jian smacked his mouth. Mike covered his head and said with a look of fear on his face, change it, you can change it, don't slap me anymore, you'll be stupid if you slap me again. He wanted to cry but had no tears. If he had known that his body was in this limited human state, his evil ghost personality would have been rotten in him, so why would he come out to ask for a beating? Go to the Redemption Society and learn how to be a normal ghost. Shen Jian kicked him in disgust and asked the other party to report to the redemption meeting. This is the evil ghost personality he created using Count Diamond's technology. It completely took over Mike's body and became the second evil ghost player after Andre. Any questions? Shen Jian said with a smile. Yunlong. Lucy. Their pupils dilated little by little. Turn players into evil spirits and then obey others' orders. Damn it! It's too cruel to step on the horse. This is simply worse than erasing the other party. After all, when you die, the past is wiped out. However, being taken over by an evil spirit means that everything about you becomes someone else's dowry. Game levels, supernatural props, ghost puzzles, and even power status in the real world, women all belong to a stranger. This. I'm crazy. I hope Mike and the others didn't misunderstand you. Are you really a humming evil person? The more he thought about it, the more horrified the two became. He kept drooling. At this moment, they could no longer tell whether Shen Jian was a human being or an evil body possessed by evil spirits. The saint had obviously checked his identity and there was no trace of any resentment, but in this matter, Shen Jian's behavior was even worse than that of an evil ghost. No. Lucy waved her hands quickly. You've already incited Mike to rebel, so what's the problem? Even if everyone in this dungeon is wiped out, as long as Mike survives, including them, it will be considered a normal casualty rate in a 5-star dungeon, and no one will care about it. They are simply overthinking it. Shen Jian has already made follow-up preparations. Only, if a fierce ghost returns to the real world, won't something happen? With this concern, the two people hurriedly ended the topic and left here. The other side. Shen Jian also returned to his residence. After planning to have Mike return to the Holy See to collect intelligence for him, he thought of a question. Olympus has countless large and small dungeons, among which there are many incidents of evil ghosts invading the body in Chel's territory, such as the Scarlet Monastery. If this is the case, how many people in the Western world have become evil ghost players? Is this why the Western world was invaded so quickly? Shen Jian was thoughtful. Through this period of understanding, he knew that the situation in the West was already in danger. A large number of ghosts and gods were living in the real world. There were even ghosts and gods who visited in person and were worshipped by ghost masters. Nowadays, there are probably players whose bodies have been taken over by ghosts. It is not an exaggeration to say that the demons are dancing wildly. This situation may collapse at any time. There is not much time left for the underworld. What he needs is a West where order is healthy, not a ghost city that is eroded by ghosts and gods, is full of devastation, and has broken order. This means that if the underworld wants to take over this place, it will need to spend more time and energy. Shen Jian clicked his tongue. It is an arduous task to spread the underworld all over the world and leave the world with only the sounds of the underworld. With this thought, Shen Jian lay on the bed and closed his eyes. His current physical fitness no longer requires sleep, but good sleep helps him kill time. After all, today's copy tasks have entered a vacuum period. He needs to wait for the results of Saint Leia's investigation. For a long time. In sleep, Shen Jian was shocked to find that he seemed to have had an unhealthy dream. Next moment, Shen Jian opened his eyes fiercely. Not a dream. He lifted the quilt. A sneaky figure poked its head out. At first glance, it turned out to be Saint Leia. Wrong. Lila. Shen Jian said with a strange look in his eyes. He noticed the scarlet eyes of the other party, which was characteristic of Lila when she appeared. In other words, this is the original owner of this body. What are you doing? Humph, can't you see? Lila's eyes flashed red. Stand up straight and straighten your back. The proud figure looked very spectacular in the dim moonlight. His face was even redder. It's so charming. What? I only allowed you to touch me before, so I can't fight back. Isn't this the reason why you induced my stupid sister to lower her bottom line step by step? Lila said awkwardly. Shen Jian could clearly hear that although Lila looked tough on the surface, a hint of panic and shyness in her tone was still reflected in her actions. For the saints of Elim Temple, this behavior is too bold and can even be said to be shocking. If the believers in the church or even the temple knew that the saint they admired was now alone in a room with a man, or even in close contact, I don't know how many people would break their defenses on the spot and even have their faith broken. What aroused you? Shen Jian was a little curious. He clearly remembered that Lila, who was his sister, didn't have a good attitude towards him, so he only heard a word of thanks from the other party when he helped her get the ghost heart back. Now he dared to go to the meeting alone and sneak attack him in the middle of the night. Hear this. Lila looked at Shen Jian angrily. It's all your fault. I don't know what kind of ecstasy drug I poured into my sister to make her so happy with you, but you, a pervert, even hooked up with Duke Silas. This is my sister's only good friend here. It turned out to be this. Shenji unblinked, a little innocent, I don't know, and my relationship with Hill is innocent. Hill, you big pervert, that woman even told you her nickname, do you still want to take it all? Shenji. His face looked a little unnatural. Because that's what he really thinks. But at this time, obviously you can't say that. I only saved her twice. There is indeed purity between us. Really? Certainly. Humph, I believe you once. Lila raised her eyebrows, then lowered her head and concentrated on her work. A long time. Why not, but I have a way. Lila adjusted her posture, like a believer performing a prayer ceremony. What are you? Humph, I have been watching my sister when she prayed, but she must not know that praying is not the only thing that you can do when you kneel down. For a long time. Second stage. Lila's face turned red, and she whispered in Shenjian's ear, "Se embryo, you are a human, right? When my sister was a saint, she specifically checked your human festivals. I remember, today should be your human dragon boat festival. Bar. Except for leaving it to my sister in the end, everything else is up to you." Said. The robe slipped. Shenjian was shocked. Meat dumplings. Did you think of this, or did you two sisters think of it? Of course it's me, my sister, who wouldn't think about such a thing, so naturally I, the sister, can only regain her position. It's an advantage for you. Dragon Boat Festival is healthy. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 572. The next day. Temple. When Saint Leah woke up, she suddenly felt some pain in her cheeks. She rubbed it and said angrily, "Sister, what did you do with your body yesterday? Did you eat it behind my back?" Lila. How did this stupid sister know that she ate it secretly? Is there still a taste in your mouth? It's not right. She had obviously washed up. In order to prevent her sister from knowing that she stayed up late at night and went to the cathedral to look for the pervert, she deliberately washed away all the traces. What's wrong? Didn't you always care about this before? Lila hesitated. But if you go to eat delicious food secretly, how can you block my perception? We have to share it together. Saint Leia said angrily. He sniffed himself to see if there was any food scent left on him. But there was nothing except the faint smell of amyuxi in my hair. Definitely next time. Lila breathed a sigh of relief, just fine she didn't notice. Although this stupid sister of hers has not yet realized that she has fallen in love with a scumbag and still wants to make Shenjian and Duke Ceres happy, as a sister, how can she sit still and wait for death? She did all this anyway. As long as she doesn't take the last step, I believe Leah won't notice anything. Think of this. Lila felt a little guilty. After all, the two sisters are now one body and two souls. She has been touched all over, and she can skillfully master the techniques of serving that pervert. These have physical memories. She was afraid that it would happen too often. Leah herself was self-taught. Then she changed the subject and said, "How do you plan to use the information that the big sex embryo handed you yesterday? Once the contents of this record are released, Carlyle will be doomed, and the image of the saint she has worked so hard to create will also be destroyed." It just collapsed. Leah fell silent. "You won't be soft-hearted, right?" Lila couldn't help but remind. "Don't forget, when we first came here, she showed murderous intent to us. If you hadn't stayed in the temple all the time, all the bodies would have been destroyed. Dismembered. And your doctor must have paid a huge price to get this record. If you let her go, the first person she will take revenge on in the future will be the person who handed over this information, which is the doctor you care about. Sister, what are you thinking about? People like her are not worthy of becoming a saint, let alone serving the goddess. I am just thinking about who to hand over the task of collecting intelligence. Leah frowned. An idea soon came to mind. Sister, this matter is of great importance. There is Carlyle's spy in the temple. The only one we can trust is Sister Hill. Duke Hillis. Lila pondered for a moment. She is indeed the most suitable. If you decide, just go for it. Well, this time, it's my turn to help the doctor. Duke's Palace. Duke Hillis, who was dressed in a more masculine outfit, stood at the door. The cool breeze blew her high ponytail. She was tall and slim. Although her figure was thin, she was full of heroism. Her long rose-colored hair made it obvious at a glance that she was Yi. Characteristics of the Noatin family. Sister Hill. Leah stepped out of the carriage, her hot figure stretched out her slim-fitting saint's dress, looking sacred, solemn, and sexy. The two women held hands and walked toward the deserted courtyard. Wherever you pass along the way, the flowers lose their color. Not long after. Duke Hillis looked at the record in his hand and frowned. Leah, how did you get this information? This is too detailed. Just by presenting this information, the Saint of Carlisle is basically finished. It was given by the pastor of the church. It's him. Duke Hillis was obviously taken aback. There was something strange in his eyes. If it's him, there should be no problem with its authenticity. See this? Leah asked, Sister Hill, do you really believe in doctors? He saved me twice. If it weren't for him, I'm afraid you wouldn't be able to see me now. Leah, if there was a man willing to block the gun for you, would you be moved? Duke Hillis's eyes were complicated, and there was some emotion in his tone. Leah opened her mouth. She felt that no one except the doctor would be willing to block the gun for her, but thinking that her sister asked her not to reveal her relationship with the doctor, she could only nod. Don't worry, I can guarantee you that the information he provided cannot be false. Also, do you want me to help you collect evidence? According to the information recorded in the file, in addition to the territory of Chell, the Saint of Carlisle also has I will personally go to the other experimental site, cut off the chaos with a sharp knife, and quickly help you fix the evidence. Duke Hillis finished speaking. A few pleasantries were exchanged. They are preparing to sweep away the evil ghost cave vigorously and resolutely. Witnessing all this, Saint Leah said with some melancholy, Sister Hill seems to like doctors very much. Normally, I have never heard that she respects and trusts a man so much. And my psychic told me that Sister Hill seemed to have had a close relationship with the doctor. Whenever she talked about the doctor, her emotions would inexplicably go to the lust side of the 7 emotions. Lila. She gritted her teeth. This pervert was really trying to coax her. Cathedral. Saint Leah is here. Under the devout eyes of all the believers, they arrived at the prayer room where Shenjian was. Leah? Any clues? Shenjian was a little surprised. I thought about last night's bold attempt again, and my heart felt a little hot. He vaguely wanted to break through the last layer of the relationship and truly make this holy and sexy saint belong to him, leaving traces of uncleanness on her body. Let a devout saint who serves in front of the glorious ghosts and gods fall to the mortal world, experience the love between men and women in the world, and even let her fall into evil. Think of this. Shenjian's eyes were strange. Not yet, but I have asked Sister Hill to collect evidence and eradicate this evil ghost cave. With Sister Hill's speed, the results will be available in less than 3 days. Hear this. Shen Jian also had a smile on his face. Looking at it this way, in about a week, Leah will be able to become the true saint of the Elim temple and take charge of the temple. By then, he will also be able to access the scepter that symbolizes the authority of Olympus and use it to recycle. After recycling, this copy should be finished. Shen Jian estimated. No more than 10 days at most. In this case, how to skip the 5-year period and directly become a priest should also be put on the agenda. Think about it? Shen Jian asked for advice. The best outcome would naturally be for Saint Leia to directly appoint him as a priest after taking charge of the temple. Doctor, do you want to become a priest? After taking charge of the temple, I do have the ability to promote priests, but it will take a certain amount of time. And I checked yesterday. Even if I am recognized as a true saint, it will still take a long time for me to completely take charge of the temple. Time, but there is no problem with touching the scepter. After listening, Shen Jian pondered. There is no problem with contacting the scepter. In fact, it is not a big deal. At most, he can do a few more big things, and then Saint Leia will take the lead to ensure that he enters the temple. Although this is more troublesome, it can be completed within a month. At this time, Saint Leia's eyes turned scarlet. First he glared at Shen Jian fiercely, and then curled his lips and said, "Why bother? As long as the priests of the 36 participating churches are not allowed to participate, then Leah can choose the priest in advance on the grounds that the church's talents are withering. If anyone objects, just say listen to the oracles of ghosts and gods. Anyway, after Carlyle is gone, only Leah in the entire temple can listen to the oracles." Shen Jian's eyes lit up. This is indeed a solution. And the effect is very obvious. The holy city is the city most influenced by the temple of Elim and has the strongest religious beliefs. More than 90% of the ghosts in the entire city are believers of the glorious ghosts and gods. Saint Leah, who listens to the oracle, is the spokesperson of the glorious ghosts and gods in the holy city. As long as she adds "this is the oracle," even the most outrageous things will be believed as truth. This is the terrible thing about religious theocracy. Brainwashing has taken root in people's minds. It can be said that as long as the glorious ghosts and gods appear and say that the Eli Empire will be destroyed, more than 40% of the people of Olympus will rise up and a war that can sweep the entire empire will break out. One can imagine what kind of appeal Saint Leah has as the spokesperson of the glorious ghosts and gods. That's a good idea. There was a slight smile on Shen Jian's lips. Relying on reputation harvesting, he wanted to brew for a period of time to maximize the impact. But if the pastors of the 36 churches withdraw without reason, then the remaining ones will naturally advance. Coupled with his own reputation and the influence brought by solving the Chell territory, even if Saint Leia advances the selection of priests 5 years ago, no one can say anything. After all, his reputation was already enough to become a priest, but now the time has just been advanced. The other side. Seeing that both the doctor and her sister thought this method was feasible, she didn't say anything more. She could only silently apologize to the goddess in her heart, and then she said, "Doctor, Elim Temple only selects 5 priests every 5 years, and the competition is very fierce. However, among the 36 churches, the Holy City has the absolute advantage and can directly select 2 priests, and the remaining 35 churches are chasing the remaining 3 spots. There are 3 influential churches in the Holy City. Doctor, you only need to prevent the pastors of these 3 churches from participating, and the quota will be guaranteed." Finished. Seeing Shen Jian staring at her, Saint Leia asked a little strangely, "Doctor, what's wrong? If you do this, aren't you afraid that the glorious ghosts and gods will blame you?" "It's okay. Doctor, you can join the temple and become a priest. This is the luck of the Elim temple. I believe the goddess will understand me when she finds out." Hear this. Shen Jian's eyes moved slightly. He put his hand on Saint Leia's head and smoothed down her long hair. Saint Leia is also very useful. It rubbed against Shen Jian's body. He seemed to know why Leia was still confused when she reached 83 points of favorability. This was because she didn't treat him as an outsider. Perhaps in the heart of the saint, he was a being similar to a glorious ghost. She believed in the person in front of her from the bottom of her heart, but suppressed her truest emotions. We need to find an opportunity to let the saint know that he is also a normal man, not a god who needs to be worshipped. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigua. Chapter 573. Time flies. During this period of time, strange things happened frequently in the Holy City. First, an evil organization calling itself the Redemption Society emerged, with all its members being evil spirits who were extremely cruel, causing panic among people. Fortunately, after the Redemption Church was raging, a priest from the cathedral stopped the evil spirits' plot in time. It is said that this priest can resonate with the radiant ghosts and gods, and is likely to reach the level of listening to oracles in the future. According to insiders, Saint Leia of the temple often came to the priest to exchange experiences, and the two had a great conversation. Everyone in the Holy City today knows that this priest is likely to become the first holy son in the history of Elim Temple. Then continue. It's the rumors about the Saint of Carlisle. This is the oldest saint in the Holy City and the most prestigious saint. Before Saint Leia was not selected, Saint Carlisle was in charge of Elim Temple. Everyone thought that the Saint of Carlisle was the leader of the temple. It wasn't until the oracle came from the temple and the new saint arrived that all this changed slightly. But this change did not frustrate Saint Carlisle. She still actively solved bad incidents within the empire. In just 1 year, she solved hundreds of evil ghost corruption incidents. It has been sought after by a large number of believers. However, I don't know which day the wind changed. The Saint of Carlisle's deepest sins were unearthed. The hundreds of evil ghost corruption incidents she solved were all directed and acted by her. She secretly cultivated evil spirits, massacred small town residents, threatened evil spirits to be used by her, and committed numerous crimes. This move has seriously tarnished the image of the glorious ghosts and gods. The temple side is officially involved in the investigation. The sainthood of the Saint of Carlisle is temporarily revoked. All of this is concentrated in this month. It can be said that things are changing. For all this, Shen Jian ignored it. He is only responsible for submitting information. More specifically, it was executed by Saint Leia and Duke Silas. But, because of this, he has been unable to find any time alone with Duke Hillis for a while. At night, she was attacked by Lila. During the day, Leia spent time with Duke Silas. He didn't even have any room to intervene. Shen Jian's eyes were strange. How did he feel that the two sisters, Leila, seemed to be deliberately trying to prevent him from being alone with Duke Silas? Think of this. Shen Jian shook his head. If it cannot be inserted, then we can only do business. Right now, the Saint of Carlisle is about to collapse, and it is basically a foregone conclusion that she will be deposed as a saint, and there is no way she can turn around. Next, he needs to consider his plan to become a priest and clear the main mission. As for this, he and the two sisters Leila had already discussed this. Shen Jian opened the game panel. King of Yama at Andre at Mike, inform the members of the Redemption Society and take action. Night. Church of St. Cele. This is the third cathedral with the oldest history and the deepest foundation in the Holy City. The pastor spokesperson for this term is a highly respected old pastor who has been in office for 15 years. At the same time, this old priest is also one of the most promising candidates to become the priest of Elim Temple. This day. Boom. St. Cele's church was attacked by evil spirits. More than 20 evil spirits wearing black masks, holding white bone sticks, and full of resentment entered the church. Suddenly, the scene was in chaos. There was a flurry of excitement. No, it's the notorious Redemption Society. They are too courageous. This is St. Seeley's church. How dare they come here to kidnap people? Don't panic, we only need to hold off for 30 minutes, and the disciplinary knights from the temple will arrive. None of them can escape. Lord glorious Ghost God, your devout believers pray to you, let these evil people be punished. A group of believers shouted. One after another, they intercepted these members of the Redemption Society. But no one can get close. Because the white bone sticks in the hands of these evil spirits are too weird. It's like a weapon specially used to restrain evil spirits. With one blow of the stick, the ghost believers who were not at the Ghost King level fell down on the spot. Even if you are a Ghost King or above, if you are hit with a stick, you will be wrapped in severe pain, scream out, and dare not continue to get closer. Then, a strange scene happened in the church. There were obviously hundreds of believers in St. Seeley's church, but they were forced to retreat by 20 evil spirits, screaming again and again. At this time, one of the evil spirits suddenly said, "Don't waste time, capture the priest." As soon as these words came out, the church exploded. What? The purpose of these evil spirits is the priest? No, it's probably the priests of our St. Seeley Church who have hindered the development of their Redemption Society, so these evil spirits plan to take away all the priests in the holy city. Protect the Reverend, the Redemption Society's target is him. There was a roar. All the believers approached the priest above the church. Prevent the pastor from unexpected events. The other side. The old priest of St. Seeley's church also widened his eyes. He looked old, had a long beard, and looked to be 40 or 50 years old. He was still very young, but his body was filled with an aura of decay, and his face was gray, as if he had just climbed out of a coffin. The old pastor was very confused about the current situation. Does he have so much energy that this crazy redemption will come to his door? His grandma's. Why didn't he know he still had so much energy? He has been re-elected as pastor for 15 years. In addition to his time as a trainee pastor and doing odd jobs, he has spent most of his life in the church. His current reputation is entirely due to the accumulation of time. Extremely mediocre. He bared his teeth. I really want to ask if these people have the wrong target. You should kidnap the famous priest of the cathedral. He can resonate with the glorious ghosts and gods. If you don't catch him, come and catch me, this old guy. What the hell, are you guys lagging behind on news or something? If the situation wasn't wrong, he really wanted to yell and ask these members of the Redemption Society to kidnap the man from the cathedral. In this case, he may have a chance to be selected for this year's priest selection. But looked at the scene. He closed his mouth knowingly. The believers were allowed to be knocked down one by one, screaming in agony. He is just a small abyss-level ghost king. He is no match for these evil ghosts. It is better to rely on believers to delay time and wait for rescue. The old priest thought so. Sudden. A large hand with a red hemp rope tied around the wrist grabbed him. The old priest was startled. At this time, an anxious voice sounded in his ears, "Priest, we can't drag on here any longer. Let's run quickly." The old priest took a closer look. It was the owner of this big hand who spoke. He doesn't recognize it. But to be able to appear here at this time, he should also be a believer of St. Seeley Church. He was very moved by Shen Jian's proposal. Because judging from the situation at the scene, this group of believers could not stop the approach of these evil ghosts. He could not guarantee whether the rescue or the evil ghosts would come first. Isn't this good? You guys are still here to guard me. If I run away, wouldn't it mean that I'm scared? The old priest hesitated. Master Priest, this group of Redemption Society is here for you. Only if you leave can we fight with peace of mind. Moreover, Master Priest, you are not running away, but are going to call for reinforcements. I believe everyone will understand. Old Pastor. He stared. Damn it. How come I didn't know there was a believer like you in the church before? What you said is so arrogant. I didn't think of such a perfect excuse at first. Talent. Think of this. The old priest hesitated no longer. That's right, I'm going to call for reinforcements. Quick, take me away. No problem. Shen Jian's face was solemn, and he immediately took the old pastor and left here. See it? The evil spirits of the Redemption Society roared repeatedly, as if they didn't want to see the old priest and just run away. However, the believers were shocked. He resisted even more vigorously. Finally, less than 5 minutes. Seeing the old pastor running further and further away, the members of the Redemption Society wearing black masks could only retreat unwillingly. We blocked it. This is a victory for Saint Sealy. It's a redemption meeting, that's all. All the believers cheered. At this time, a believer expressed doubts. The believer who just dragged the pastor away seemed a bit strange to me. Does any of you know him? As soon as these words came out, the whole place fell silent. Then the pot exploded. No, you don't know him. Huh? I thought you knew each other. MD, I thought you knew each other. You don't know him? Then where did he come from? Inside the church. All the believers looked at each other. I just felt a chill rushing up to Tianling Gai. They don't know each other, which is enough to show that the other party is not a believer here. But it's night now, who else can stay here besides the believers? This is inexplicable. Why is there suddenly a stranger whom no one knows? Everyone felt a chill. Pastor, are you okay? Probably, not dead. The other side. After running for a certain distance and completely away from St. Zili's church, the old priest just breathed a sigh of relief, only to find that the man in front of him was still pulling him away. Run further and further. And the direction of this escape does not seem to be the location of the temple or other churches, but a deserted alley. This believer, where are you taking me? This doesn't seem to be the direction to ask for reinforcements. He shouted. But he found that the figure in front of him did not respond to him. The old pastor's heart skipped a beat. At this time, only then did he have time to observe the man in front of him. The pupils narrowed little by little. He was so nervous just now that he didn't notice anything was wrong with this man. Not only did the other party enter the church with a blood-stained hemp rope that did not belong to the church, but he was not wearing the clothes of St. Cyril's church, and he did not even have a badge symbolizing the identity of the believer. How could such a person with 3 nothings be a believer? But if he wasn't a believer, then who was this person who led him to escape all the way? Or, what kind of dirty thing is it?